Hey everyone, and welcome back. We are jumping right into today's explainer. And let me tell you, it's going to be incredibly eye-opening, especially if you've ever been hit with that people pleaser label. We're unpacking the true psychological roots behind why so many of us constantly feel the need to keep everyone around us happy. We're going to use this iceberg model to map it all out. First, we'll look at the very tip of the iceberg, those surface behaviors everyone sees, and then we're plunging deep underwater to uncover the hidden architecture beneath it all. Get ready, because what we're looking at today might completely reframe how you see yourself, or honestly, the people you love.
Section 1. The People Pleaser Profile. The surface behaviors we all recognize.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're starting right at the top of that iceberg with the surface behaviors we all instantly recognize. I want you to really ask yourself right now, do you apologize for things that aren't your fault? Like, someone literally bumps into you at the grocery store and you say sorry. Or maybe a coworker misses a deadline and you somehow find a way to take the blame for not reminding them. It's an automatic reflex, isn't it? Well, if you're nodding your head right now, trust me, you are definitely not alone in this.
Or actually, how about this one? Can you sense a mood shift before someone even opens their mouth? It's like you've got this invisible emotional radar. You walk into a room and instantly know the vibe is just off. You feel that slight tension in your partner's shoulders, or you catch a micro shift in your boss's expression. It's this hyper-vigilant social behavior. Kind of feels like an emotional superpower, right? Well, let's see where that superpower actually comes from.
See, society usually just labels these behaviors as a standard trait. You're just being nice. You're polite, you're super accommodating, you're the glue holding the whole group together. But the hidden root of all this, it's actually about anticipating problems to stay safe. These aren't just quirky little personality traits you were born with. They're actually profound survival tactics that you developed a long time ago.
Section 2. What is guarded empathy? Diving below the surface. To truly understand this, we've got to leave the surface behind. I want you to keep an open mind and hold some grace for yourself here, because we're getting into the coping mechanisms that protected you when you were younger. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the formal definition. Guarded empathy is a childhood coping mechanism where one learns to hyper-monitor others' emotions to maintain personal safety. Imagine a kid listening to the specific sound of footsteps in the hallway just to gauge if a parent is angry. That superpower of sensing a mood shift? It's actually a highly tuned, learned behavior designed entirely to scan for threats.
The source material gives us this exact, incredibly powerful phrase: you learned to anticipate problems. As a child in a really unpredictable environment, you literally couldn't afford to wait for a problem to explode. You had to see it coming from a mile away. You had to read the room, adjust your behavior on the fly, and defuse the bomb before anyone else even realized the timer was ticking. And why did you do it? To stay safe. This right here is the very foundation of guarded empathy. All those apologies for things you didn't even do, all that exhausting hyper-awareness of other people's moods, it was never, ever about being polite. It was a deeply necessary mechanism for a child to just feel a basic sense of security in their own home. It was basically armor, completely disguised as accommodation.
Section 3. The Impact of Parentification. The Deep Ocean Root.
Let's move to and see how this builds into our final, absolute deepest concept. We're now at the very bottom of the iceberg, the deep ocean root that anchors the whole shebang, parentification. This is a dynamic where a child is forced to take on adult emotional responsibilities to keep the peace. This is the exact environment that creates guarded empathy. When the adults in a situation are unable to manage their own emotions, the child is essentially forced to step up and become the emotional regulator for the entire household.
In this dynamic, the child becomes utterly obsessed with one primary goal, and that is keeping the peace. Their entire role, their core purpose in the family structure, just becomes managing the adults. If mom is stressed, the child acts perfectly to soothe her. If dad is angry, the child tiptoes around and anticipates his needs to prevent an outburst. Basically, the child is doing all the emotional heavy lifting that the adults are supposed to be doing.
So the crucial point is that in order to keep the peace, the child learns that their own feelings come last. If you are a parentified child, you simply cannot afford to have a bad day or be angry or be sad, because the emotional bandwidth of the household is already 100% consumed by the adults. You learn to just push your own needs to the absolute bottom of the priority list. And this brilliantly illustrates the entire journey we've just taken, mapping out a clear psychological architecture. It starts deep in the past with childhood parentification, where you were forced to manage adult emotions. That led you to start anticipating problems to stay safe. This created a lasting psychological framework of guarded empathy, where you hyper-monitor the world around you. And ultimately, that breaks the surface today as adult people-pleasing. It's a perfect, totally logical chain of cause and effect.
We always want to leave you with something actionable in this explainer. The architecture of your empathy was built for survival, and honestly, it did its job perfectly when you were young. But you aren't that child anymore. Recognizing this architecture is the first step. So the question I want to leave you with today is this. Now that you can see the blueprint, how will you begin to dismantle it? I really want you to think about that as you go through your week. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible topic, and I will see you in the next explainer.